Our next speaker for today's conference, Dr. Keyur Patel, is an interventional neurologist. He did his post-graduation from USA, and after coming back to India, his journey began with neuro1 Hospital in 2017. Later on, in June 2020, he started with Health1 Hospital in East Ahmedabad. Since then, Health1 Hospital and its family is constantly expanding and it's successfully running its branches in Anand, Gandhinagar, Vastral and 𝙀𝙧. He aims to open other branches in order to provide quality and effective services to the patients. I would like to invite Dr. Keyur Patel on dais.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Isha, for a very kind introduction. Thank you, Dr. Mohal Banker, sir, Dr. 𝙀𝙧𝙚𝙀𝙧𝙀𝙀, and the entire team of Banker's Vascular Institute for organizing this wonderful academic feast. Again, warm welcome and happy Sunday to all the delegates who have joined us in this conference from across the world. I think more than 20 countries people have registered. So again, thanks a lot. My topic is a little bit different. It's on the entrepreneurship and my personal journey and journey of my team, starting from when I left US to come back to the motherland in 2016 till now. So just a brief introduction about me. I did my MBBS here in VS Hospital, then went to US. After that, did Masters in Public Health in University of Texas, and then went for medicine and then neurology. Neurology was at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, and then I did a postgraduate fellowship in stroke and interventional neurology in Texas Stroke Institute in Dallas. So my personal interest basically was to just do mainly neurointerventional procedures. Again, neurointerventional procedure is one of the newest field in medicine. So it includes different procedures of brain and spine, including a cerebral and a spinal DSA, acute stroke, mechanical thrombectomies, endovascular aneurysm treatments with coiling, balloon-assisted coiling, stent-assisted coiling, flow diverters, newer devices like intrasaccular devices, carotid and intracranial stentings, brain and spine, AV malformation and AV fistula embolizations, carotid cavernous fistula embolizations, venous sinus thrombolysis, stenting, among various other procedures. So this was what I trained for when I came in. And so once I came back, the original idea was to start and establish a one-stop solution for interventional radiology and a center of excellence for stroke care. Now, as you all know, stroke is one of the most prevalent but undertreated diseases in the world. Every 2 seconds, somebody suffers from a stroke, and every 6 seconds, somebody dies from a stroke. And time is of essence. So when somebody is suffering from a stroke, every minute, about 19 lakh brain cells die permanently. And those are the neurons that are not coming back. So imagine 19 lakh brain cells dying every time you wait for a patient to be diagnosed and treated. So the need of the hour was to develop a center which was all-in-one, inclusive, which would have a CT scanner, an MRI, an ICU, and a cath lab, and an operational theater to again provide a 360-degree solution to treat the patient. So that is how it all started. Now, whenever you start any institution or a new business or a new model, you need to come up with the values. What are the core values that you are going to depend and build this business on? So number one for me, because I was trained in US, I was used to this high quality infrastructure and the technology. So we wanted high quality infrastructure and cutting edge medical technology. So the struggle was to, get all these devices that our team was used to, being a 𝙂𝙧𝙚𝙬𝙗 in the OT, a neuro navigation system, a pentero microscope in the OR for aneurysm, vascular malformation and aneurysm clipping surgeries. The machine that I trained on was this Philips FD20 cath lab with an intraoperative CT. And then again an MR. So again, we got all these machines lined up together, and the first center that we started, an affordable center. So when you put in high quality infrastructure and cutting edge technologies, it's very easy to shoot up the cost. But in India, you have to make sure that you are still able to provide this sort of benefits to patients in a very, very affordable manner. So that is where the journey of neuro1 started. 16 and I shifted back to India, and 2017 is when we first started with our pilot institute, sort of a lab for us, where we learned the tricks and of the trade and the practice of Ahmedabad, which is way different. Trust me, it is way different than the practice in the US. So this was the first center. It was a 20-bedded setup with an ICU and a cath lab in Ahmedabad. And as time passed, as we learned more, we added another unit right next to it, and added a full-fledged radiology unit with a CT and an MR and a couple of more OTs with it. But when we shifted gears, when we knew that Ahmedabad is growing concentrically, so Ahmedabad is growing around in circles, and typically if you look at Ahmedabad's development, it's around the roads. So initially it started with Relief Road, which is in the center of the city, then Ashram Road, then CG Road, then 132-foot Ring Road, then SG Highway, and now comes the time for SP Ring Road. So SP Ring Road was the epicenter of development, and it is a road that encircles the entire city of Ahmedabad. It is around a 74-kilometer road, and a patient coming from one end of the city to the other end of the city is going to be very challenging. So we wanted to do something on the other end of the city, especially on the Ring Road, so connectivity is easy. And again, we didn't want to miss this growing opportunity on the concentric side. So that's when in 2020 in East Ahmedabad we came up with a center called Health1. Now, so the journey from neuro1 to Health1 was very interesting. We started doing a lot of other procedures than neuro. So the initial name was neuro1 Stroke and Critical Care Institute, because my primary training was in stroke and we only wanted to do stroke, but it didn't stop there. So we were treating a lot of brain and spine diseases. So we rebranded ourselves as neuro1 Brain and Spine Institute, and then eventually started doing a lot of cardiac, ortho, and other tertiary care super specialty work. So it made sense for us not just to focus on the neuro part, but switch gears and encompass the entire health spectrum. So that's where the name Health1 kind of suited us and came to us naturally because of the synergies with neuro1. So Health1 Ahmedabad in the east side in Vastral is a 111 bedded setup with 80 beds operational, 22 bedded ICU, a cath lab, as well as a CT scanner. That then led us to an issue of space limitations at neuro1, our old setup. So because of the growing pains, we were adding a new and exciting team of doctors with more and more procedures. We were finding short of space, so we expanded our setup a bit more west on the Ring Road again into this setup where we are currently hosting this conference. So it is a 151 bedded setup with 6 OTs, 1 cath lab, and a 32 bedded ICU. So that's when we thought, what else can we do? So there are a lot of different ways where you can expand a hospital. So there are asset heavy models and asset light models. So asset heavy models where you own and operate the entire facility. It is usually a greenfield project. It takes a lot of capex, so that is capital expenditure, and then it takes a lot of time. You have to build find a suitable land, build a design, get it approved, and then construct the entire hospital. It can take anywhere from 1.5 to 4 years. So that's when we thought of going in the asset light model, where we would go and acquire ready hospitals, which were there are again 3-4 models that you can go about for that, which is one is a leasing and operating model, the second is a profit sharing model, third would be a revenue sharing model, and a fourth would be just a management just on a management basis. So that's when we went to Anand. Again, Anand was sort of a ready setup that we acquired. It's a 55 bedded setup with 2 modern OTs, a 10 bedded ICU, in-house CT scan, and all the radiology and pathology facilities. So that's where we are right now. So I would say the current strength, so we are right now in Ahmedabad on the 2 sides of Ring Road, and then Anand is live, and Gandhinagar is about to start very, very soon. This is the vision. This is where we want to be. There are certain places in Gujarat they've mapped out that would make sense for us in sort of a hub and spoke model, where you have basic hub models around Ahmedabad and spoke hospitals which would drain to those hub models. But again, think big. When you're an entrepreneur, you always have to expand your horizons and think outside of the box. Don't be a frog in the well sort of a phenomenon. So right now we have total 285 beds. So we have grown from 20 beds to 285 in the last 5 years, with 68 ICU beds, 11 OTs, 1 MR, 3 CT scanners, and 2 cath labs. And then by 2024, we are going to add around 460 more beds. So we are going to with a target of 750 beds by the end of 2024. So that's the goal. And so how does this happen? It does not happen alone. The most important ingredient in this magical formula per se is the team. It is the team. I am lucky to be surrounded by a core team of very dynamic, very dedicated, and hardworking individuals who are really good on their own, but their strengths really multiply, when they work as a team. It's sort of like an F1 pit. Today's, I think the Abu Dhabi race is today, and if you watch the race, the F1 pit stop, they do this tire change in 2 seconds, less than 3 seconds, almost every time. So it takes the whole team to do this. So that is the learning point. And the team does not happen inorganically. You cannot just start a hospital and say, I'll get the CEO from this hospital, this administrator from this hospital, this management guy from this hospital. It does not work that way. You have to build your own team. You can get the good people in the good spot, but you have to nurture them and mold them to do the role that you want them to do, and also learn from them about how to create a very dynamic organization. It should not be one way. It has to be bidirectional. Or for all the hospital owners or the doctors also, we're doctors, we are so busy and engaged, and in our clinical practice we forget the business side of it. It is again very, very important, especially nowadays, to know the business aspect of it. So you should know your data. When you know the number of procedures that you've done, as Mohal sir mentioned, he has done the highest number of varicose vein procedures, 12,000. He knows the numbers by the tip of his fingertip. You should know all the business data by the tip of your fingertip as well. You should know ALS, that is average length of stay. You should know AAPD is average admissions per day. You should know your ARPOB, which is average revenue per occupied bed. You should know your OBDs, which is occupied bed days. ROC is return on capital equipped. You should be updated with the NABH and the JCI guidelines so that you can update your medical infrastructure as well as the processes accordingly. You should familiarize. So today is the day of cashless treatment. Every patient wants to do cashless treatment, either private cashless with insurance or government. So when a doctor starts his practice, he's not aware of TPAs. When I came, for me, TPA was TPA. I used it for thrombolysis. I didn't know TPA is basically an organization which does your third-party insurance clearances. So it was a news for me. So you need to know about PPNs, TPAs, PMJY, Ma Amrutam, and Ma Vatsalya Yojana if you are doing those sort of patients as well. Again, keep updated with the statutory regulations, especially the fire NOC, and you have to keep dashboards. So sometimes when we start our setup, we have to get all the licenses. So we do it all the time, right? But when they're about to expire or they get expired, we don't know about them. So you have to keep a dashboard, and in the dashboard, write down all the licenses and also put in the date of expiry and set up an alarm system in your Excel where you get notified before 6 months. So you have to start this process before 6 months. Otherwise, you will face issues of C form not being renewed or the fire NOC not being renewed, and then it can get into a bad medical legal situation as well. And again, work on your revenue cycle management. Medical business used to be a cash business, but now it's a credit business because of the cashless. So you need to work on the working capital and the revenue cycle management. Yeah, so I think it was a big topic, but I tried to cover it in a very concise manner. I think every one of those learning points can be a separate lecture of its own. But again, I'll be more than happy to answer any other questions via email or on our website or in person. So again, thank you.
I would like to invite Dr. 𝘂𝙧𝙩𝙚𝙾𝙚 and along with Shambhu Bhai to felicitate Dr. Keyur Patel.